Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prospero.ai stock market live streams. JC, that was like perfect timing, right? When I go live. Happy Wednesday, all in the chat. Good to see you here today. The markets are up in the green as we're beginning the stream here. The QQQ up about 0.5%, the SPY as well. Dow Jones about 0.6%, and Russell up about 0.75%. So all in the green here. The VIX is down about 6% as we're beginning today. Everybody, if you're rolling in, if you're an OG viewer or a first-time viewer, be sure to drop a like. If you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, likes are great for those algos that we love to get in the good graces of. We got a lot of great topics, and also at the end of the stream today, we have a special segment for people interested in the Prospero AI trade alerts. Brent is going to be coming into the stream, I think around 3:45-ish, and discussing those more in detail. So everybody has to stick around till then to hear that. I will take you through the topics right now, and then when George jumps in here, we will get on into them. But we're going to be bringing up a meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping scheduled for May. How is this going to affect the markets? Is this a sign of good things going on between the USA and China? The fact that Trump will meet with Xi Jinping, and once it actually occurs, could there be some major headlines or stories coming out from it? We have ARM stock rallying today. Let's get a live look at just how much ARM is up on the day. ARM is up over 16% right now and was up at most today 21% after announcing that um, they will be making their first AI CPU chip, which is expected to bring in about 15 billion in revenue. Now, this is for 2031, and we are currently only in 2026, so this is a few years out. But Meta is their largest customer at the moment for the chip, and the growth for ARM would be crazy because currently they do just under 5 billion in revenue from chips like that. So yeah, crazy growth there. We have EchoStar jumping and the whole space industry jumping today. Let's take a look around the horn and see at some of those stocks and how they're moving with some more SpaceX. Hey, Nick is in the chat. What's up, Nick? Good to see you. Happy Wednesday to you. All right, let's pull up the space stocks here. We have ASTS up over 8%, Fly 14%, Lunar 13%, SATL 13%, Rocket Lab 8%, and SATS 7%, all green on the day. After it looks like the SpaceX IPO could be announced in the filing as soon as this week, and then would be happening maybe in April. People are speculating April 20th. You know, Elon Musk, and he loves his 420, so could be a possible date for SpaceX to go public. That would be very soon. So I don't know if it would happen that quickly, but people are throwing out crazy numbers for the SpaceX IPO. I've heard 1.5 trillion, 2 trillion, and a lot of these space companies that are on the market now are, you know, tens of billions. I think ASTS has like a 40 billion market cap, 35 billion, depending on how much it's moving on the day. So they trade at a huge discount to SpaceX, at least at the moment. Mario's in the chat. What's up, Mario? ASTS Yahoo. You think ASTS is like Yahoo? Oh my goodness, that's a bold take for our stock of the year. You think ASTS is gonna wither away, or are you saying ASTS Yahoo? Maybe I got that. Maybe I got that comparison wrong. Maybe clarify in the chat. We'll see which way you meant it. Either good or bad. Yeah, yeah, Nick. I think I got it now. Yahoo, like woohoo. Very good. All right, there we go. We have a couple stories for OpenAI. One that is really crazy, and honestly, if this is true, I think a very scary sign for them. Reportedly offering private equity firms a 17.5% return to raise fresh capital and avoid potentially being like insolvent with all of the commitments they have and the lack of, they have a lot of revenue, but they don't earn much money on their products, or if any at all. And because of that, they actually are shutting down the Sora app as well, which got off to a hot start, but is now being closed down by the company, which was their like video generator and image generator. I think that kind of AI compute is like the most expensive, which is why they'd look to be shutting it down. But OpenAI, we've been hinting around the circular economy of it all and everything, that big numbers that were being floated out, but it looks like OpenAI is at like a very critical point to like whether they will have some kind of bigger event go on very soon, and they're looking to IPO themselves. So uh, wild stuff going on for OpenAI, and I think it's dragging down Microsoft with it, which I wanted to bring up. We haven't talked about Microsoft as much as a lot of the other big tech stocks, Mag 7 stocks, but Microsoft is now trading below their 200-week average for the first time in 13 years. And if that's not due to the questions surrounding OpenAI, I don't really know what it would be from. But I want to ask George if Microsoft is a buy the dip at this point. Let's look at how much they are down on the year. Down over 23% in 2026 alone, and getting close to their 2021 high of $343 per share. So they're just about 9% above that now. So fast forward almost 5 years and uh, not a lot of gains in Microsoft stock if you bought back during those highs in 2021. So we'll discuss them in detail here. We'll see if we can get to this all with the 345 trade alerts segment going on, but we'll try our best. I did go dumpster diving as JC had requested on the stream. We got 5 stocks that are hitting 52-week lows. This was as of yesterday. We have Melly, Adobe, Chewy, Tractor Supply, and Wingstop. So I like to do a little bit of variation within the industry. Yeah, JC, I knew you'd like this one. So we have a good array here. We'll see if George finds any of them interesting. He usually doesn't when we do these types of things, but we'll see if uh, if it changes this time. I was very surprised to see Tractor Supply on this list of 52-week low stocks with the Halo trade that we had discussed. And when I saw that, I checked back and looked at Caterpillar, and I was wondering, have they dropped a lot? And they haven't really. So it's interesting that Tractor Supply hasn't got that, like, a lot of the companies that have physical industrial products have gotten a boost, but Tractor Supply, not so much. Then, if we have time on the stream, we will get into a little story or asking George about his vision of Prospero and if the Prospero Discord community, which is linked in the description. If you're watching on Twitter, head on over to the YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not in the Discord, it's linked in the description so you can join it right now. But if his idea of democratizing access to financial markets, if our Discord community is fulfilling some of the things he wished to accomplish, because we have a great group of people that discuss, anything and everything when it comes to the stocks in there. So we'll see. We'll see what he thinks about that. He should be tuning in just a moment. We'll take a look around the markets right now, see if anything is moving bigly here. Let's actually check the net option sentiment for QQQ and SPY before we even do that, and XLI and XLK as well. No change for QQQ and SPY. We still got QQQ at 5 in net option sentiment and SPY at 0. XLK at 24 and XLI at 16. These are all net option sentiment levels. I think that's a little bit higher than they were on Monday. I'm pretty sure we were in like the teens and single digits. So a little bit of a recovery in the XLI and XLK since then. And the overall markets have kind of just been chopping around as we have been. Well, I guess we've been chopping lower, but it seems like each day we just whipsaw, seesaw back and forth in the markets in 2026. All right, let's check out, see what's moving big. Like I said, a lot of the space stocks are the ones that are moving the most here. I think because of the SpaceX news. ARM is up the most of any stock on the day at 16% of the big stocks. Chewy's up 13%. So interesting. I guess they're not at a 52-week low anymore. Those 52-week lows were as of yesterday. So Chewy's bouncing up already. I wish we had brought them up just yesterday for the 52-week low stocks. But we'll still have to count them on the list. International guy said Tractor Supply is more like Rural King, retail items, but not so much in the bulldozer biz. Yeah, so they're kind of, I guess, like the retailer for rural communities, right? if you live on a farm or need anything like that. Actually, there's one. I live in Bergen County, New Jersey, which is a pretty like suburban, like a lot of residential housing, industry, all that. But there's a Tractor Supply up in New York State that we go to, so it's like an hour away. I was going to ask if Steven had been to Tractor Supply. I have been. Hello, George. George, have you been to
Hello.
Tractor Supply?
Me?
Yeah.
Do I look like someone who's been to Tractor Supply?
No, I don't think so. I was just mentioning to the chat. I go to one like an hour into upstate New York. They're one of the. We'll get to them later on. They're in our dumpster diving stocks of the day segment to be talked about later. Um, let's see. Where do we start? Where do we start today? We start with the markets being all in the green as we begin the stream. It seems like a little bit of a lackluster type of day in the movements we're seeing in a lot of stocks. But I guess a good little reprieve of stocks going down. Um, I don't think there's been really major updates in the Iran USA since Monday when we went into full detail. Um, I saw USA is proposing like a 15-point ceasefire plan that Iran has not accepted or really responded to yet. But I guess we're kind of just in a waiting game for that at the moment.
Yeah. So this has been a hot topic amongst the now, I guess, Prospero portfolio managers and myself, Dr. Matt and Brent. Brent's actually coming on later. We thought it would be fun. We're going to discuss, we're going to do a live discussion of a trade alert. So you'll get to see the behind the scenes of what gets discussed in a trade alert. You'll see how we like kind of use AI and still, some judgment on top of that. Which by the way, thank you, JC, for sending over. He sent over a great sheet of the trade alerts, and it's actually kind of funny. I really was like, I didn't want to assemble it myself because I thought we were doing badly, but it turns out we're doing really well. We're just badly to my standards. We're 34% up on the market, but a 71% win rate on those trade alerts. That's pretty good. I mean, 71% ain't bad through the first 2 months. So yeah, one of the things we're actually going to think about, because I think I mentioned we're unifying Prospero Plus and the paid alerts launch. I think we might be thinking about letting people in on a paid basis through just a link, and we'll allow your email. If anyone didn't invest in the crowd fund but wants access to trade alerts, definitely email me, and we'll start getting that set up. But yeah, 71% win rate, pretty good. So anyway, I always tend, it's kind of funny. There's experience with risk management that can sometimes make you miss things, and then there's being risk on at the right times. Dr. Matt's portfolio is outperforming the Prospero one, and he never stops reminding me of that, up close to 400% in the last 2 years, because he and I are different kinds of risk managers, and he wanted to play the event a lot more aggressively to the upside. I'm still, and it was kind of like the news is that it's ending. I do feel that it looks like the probability that things are ending is going up, but I think more what people are reacting to is America's willingness to make peace and their willingness to make concessions, and the assumption that means Iran will want to as well. But I do ultimately think that it's going, like, I even think that U.S. willingness is a big step, and it's kind of like what we talked about. Like this war is not going to be fun for anyone. Both sides are taking a chance by letting it continue, and I don't think that's what Israel and the U.S. thought was going to happen. going in. So I am feeling more bullish, but I wouldn't, something that was also pointed out is XOM and LNG. What were the two? XOM, Oxy and XOM are still on the short-term bull. So that's kind of like a counterpoint. But yeah, I am feeling more optimistic. I think you all probably saw me pretty unoptimistic on Monday. But yeah, these things. The only thing that could probably the best place to put that is like I think maybe the U.S. government was thinking some of the same things that I was about the whole situation. So I'm glad. I'm glad it looks like we're more aligned a few days later.
I'm wondering because I saw a news story today that Trump and Xi Jinping are going to be meeting in May in China, actually. I'm wondering if that's also giving the market, if it's calming the fears of Iran, because I'd imagine if things were going to be escalating over the coming months, that meeting would not be occurring, maybe. So I'm wondering if that being scheduled is a sign that the market's taking it as like, okay, the USA is really like planning to de-escalate.
Yeah, because Ping just said yesterday he made a big thing about like how he took some real shots at America, be like, well, we want to be a world power, but like not in the way of the U.S. like abusing other. And I'm paraphrasing. This is not a direct quote. Abusing other countries, but we will be a defender of other countries. Which was a real like, which is kind of interesting. I wonder how like the chips market, because that would be if they took Taiwan, that would kind of be in direct contrast to the claim that he was making, and in especially in Asian society, that kind of like honor is very important. So I didn't actually think about that until I just like thought about it out loud, what that statement might mean in terms of Taiwan, but. I do think them coming together is a good thing, and I do think it's a message to the markets and everyone that this is going in the right direction. Because if it wasn't, I think it probably also means that China is pushing Iran to settle things, because at the end of the day. I think China's a very slow and steady strategy, right? We owe them a lot of money currently, and the collapse of the U.S. due to like rising energy prices, like everything, like I don't think that really suits the health of the world, as much as China might like to see that. So I think that's what we're seeing. Like, we talked about the petrodollar a lot. Like, it stands to be seen, like, it's possible that some of the conditions for peace here is that China knows that it's going to have a lot more transactions in the yuan. Will be interesting to see how that shakes out. Because to me, we could claim who won, lost, whatever the war. Of course, like, I would be absolutely shocked if America didn't come out of this saying that we won. But that's what I'm going to be looking for. Like, this isn't about Iran, and Iran is a minor character in the world stage. Let's be honest. And why they were elevated this high, I don't know. But I was watching a funny clip of Trump saying that the nuclear program was obliterated, like, I don't know, 7 months back, and then like us saying that that's also why we were attacking, where it's like, I don't know, those two things don't really fit. But anyway, to me, that's all that, like, for whatever reason, like, I mean, for reasons of Israel, I think anyone's fair assumption. Iran got like a little elevated in terms of how big of a character they should be in this, world play. But at the end of the day, that's the only thing I'm looking at for the, like, if China gained a lot of countries transacting in their currency that used to be in the petrodollar system, that is a big loss for us. But we'll see how that shakes out. Honestly, I don't even know how we get like that accurate of reporting on that or anything, but it'll be interesting to see. But that's the outcome I'm looking for. A weakened dollar, like the dollar has already been weakening in this administration. Things to accelerate it, that could be very bad for our country, especially a country that's less friendly to tourism. Like a weakened dollar, that is one of the benefits traditionally, being like, okay, if your currency is cheaper, more people will want to visit. But if that's more difficult, then you're not getting one of the primary, if not maybe the only benefit of having a weaker currency to your economy.
And so, if, like you were saying, that the market is feeling better about the tensions and the odds are going up that de-escalation will occur, are we going to be heading right back into like the chip stocks, the AI stocks, the tech stocks, right? Like, in the next couple of months? ARM stock is one that was rallying a lot today, up over 16% after announcing an in-house AI CPU chip that they expect to generate $15 billion of revenue per year in 2031. Meta is the biggest customer for that right now. The chip landscape, do you have any thoughts on NVIDIA's SMCIs and these Microns?
I mean, SMCI is in its own category. But no, I mean, I think we'll get, I mean, we were already getting back into the rally, like with the war, like not being, I mean, I do feel like it's a good time to take on a little more risk appetite. The problem is that bad news, because we've started to turn the corner a little bit, like bad news could really turn it around like a lot faster. But the gain could be huge as well. So yeah, we're probably going to tilt. We have Brent on. You'll see our discussion about this, but we'll probably tilt more long, just because I do think, from a game theory perspective, it looks more likely to be resolved than not. So you have to balance the greater downside, but yeah, that's where I'm at on it.
I guess my question is, do we think, like when you're saying risk appetite, do we think those type of investments will flow back into the ones that had already worked the prior couple of years? Or, we're seeing, I wanted to bring up the space sector today rallying a lot. Do we think that new areas of the market still will be where the risk appetite goes to when/if it comes back?
I actually think, I mean, I don't think it's particular sector, but what we've seen is like on the other ends, right? The indexes hold up better, which means that tends to be like more profitable companies over growth. I'd be looking for smaller cap growth to really, rally. We've seen growth get hit pretty much across the board, small, large. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of different growth names. I'd look in the space sector. We'd probably look at, Compass again. Things like GLW that we like, just they kind of gotten the wrong time. There's not, I mean, I think you don't overthink that too much. You just do the Russell 2000. I mean, if you want something like, I think if you want pure small cap, which I don't think is like necessarily the best, because there's like small cap value, but I would look at like Vanguard growth. Would be an interesting. I'd recommend that over a small cap ETF, because that's kind of diversified growth.
What I wonder with the small cap ETFs is like, if there is a winning company, they will grow to be a mid cap or a large cap. And if you're getting a small cap ETF, are you constantly like shedding the winners and just like, is it worth it investing in a small cap ETF like that?
Shed. What do you mean by shedding the winners?
Like if they grow to be a big company, then they're no longer going to be in the ETF anymore. And
Yeah,
like those are the
yeah,
companies that are the ones growing, you know?
yeah. But the other side is you get a you had to have a huge return on those by the time they graduate.
So diving back into the space sector a little bit more in detail, EchoStar jumping today, ASTS, Rocket Lab, all of them. Planet Labs has actually been one that's been moving a lot too. On this news that SpaceX could file their IPO as early as this week, a date that has been thrown out. We know Elon Musk, he loves to play with the numbers. April 20th, 420 could be a possible date, which would be very soon, only about a month away. 1.5 trillion looks to be like a pretty safe estimate of where they're going to IPO at. I mean, I saw even as high as 2 trillion, which would just be insane. But you look at ASTS, it has a 35, $40 billion market cap. And if that's like the closest competitor to, I don't know, it's like how much are these stocks going to rally if that does come true and SpaceX is valued at that high a level?
I mean, I'm not sure I understand like sometimes what the market does is it's a little too memey for me. Like I'm not sure I understand like one company, especially like uh SpaceX is a competitor to ASTS. Like them getting a huge amount of capital uh isn't it like I don't understand how these things work sometimes in this like meme driven environment. I guess it shows that there's like appetite for it, but it's also like a bit of a zero sum game too. Like if I was invested in SpaceX, I wouldn't also own ASTS at the same time. Like we talk about all that all the time with like ASTS and Rocket Lab. Um, yeah, it it does not really make sense to me.
If SpaceX IPO'd at 1.5 trillion, would you be interested in investing in that? I mean, I can't imagine a stock that's going to get more attention upon IPO.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always talk about like getting in on an IPO. I think that's one that we should definitely do. Because I think it's going to go up. I mean, how quickly it falls, I don't know, but I really have a hard time believing the Elon army and people that are associated with the Elon army, or sorry, people anticipating the Elon army coming in aren't going to like pump it.
JC's commenting about like the ASTS and other space stocks rising tides lifting all boats with the SpaceX valuation thought
Yeah, I
process.
mean, I still don't get it. Like, it's not like, yeah, I don't, it doesn't like, I get why it's happening. Like, I get the connection that people think that, but like, if you break it down from like an ops and logic standpoint, it doesn't make sense.
The thing that makes it difficult for me, and I would be someone who'd be like so excited to invest in like SpaceX, like it's such an exciting company, but like if it IPOs at 1.5 trillion, all the gains are gone. It seems like where's it going to go to? If it doubles or triples, it's in the top 5 largest companies in the world. Uh, I mean, unless companies are trading at tens of trillions of dollars in market cap in like the next decade, it's IPOing at such a rich valuation. Like, where can it go from there?
I mean, it's going to be a risky stock with drawdowns from the day it happens. Um, but like as we know, with a lot of these like Musk things and like Musk adjacent things like Palantir, um, these things they can keep running.
This is an interesting couple of topics here have about OpenAI. I love the fact that we covered, I feel like we covered the AI space and like how kind of frothy a lot of those deals had been at one point very well. So now it's being reported that they are offering private equity firms a 17.5% return and trying to raise fresh capital. Now, how can you guarantee a return of 17.5%? You can't, right? So this is like
Um, they're talking about an obligation, right? Like that's all that you can do. You can say we're like it earns an interest rate, right? That's what they mean when they do that. Like anyone knows that if they like go out of business, they're not going to get paid, right? Or they could just choose not to pay you, and there's in all of these like debt agreements, which is what it would be. There's like, oh, if they don't pay, we can take you to court. Like there's remedies. Like, but that's all that it is. It's just like they like whatever is invested, they're just gonna owe that interest rate, which is that is like that's definitely a sign that
they're
it's getting
desperate.
harder for them to raise capital, right? Because like public companies borrow at like, I don't know. I don't know like a company at like their stage what like because they're so underwater. Like but like a lot of public companies there's no really good parallel, but most are going to be able to borrow at like, 8% right now, even if there's some risk to it. So yeah, the fact that they feel that they need to offer that is concerning.
That's interesting because like the percentage rate is the kind of the risk. Like the higher the rate is, the more risky the investment would be typically, right? So like 17.5%, a double of like a normal, like you were saying, what a company could get is crazy. And I'm wondering because they're trying to IPO, I think this year as well. How could they possibly IPO if their financials seem to be in a little bit of a difficult situation? Like, um, I don't really know what's going on with OpenAI. It seems like a crazy time. I would love to be a
I
fly on the wall.
mean, it really seems like they've mistimed this, right? Like if they IPO'd 6 months ago, for example, like that would have been like probably the most oversubscribed or a year, most oversubscribed IPO, we've ever seen. But like now with these like, with some blood in the water, with like a headline like this, like, the average retail investor is not going to be aware of this.
Hmm.
But um but like for people that know what they're doing, it's definitely it's a concerning sign. And I mean, that doesn't even get into the fact that you look at the business, the LLM landscape, all that stuff. It's concerning.
They also announced that they're shutting down their Sora app, which was like their video and image generator. I think that's like the highest cost per compute type of thing that they do. Maybe why. Um, but yeah, so they're
But
trying to
like
respond, trying to
it shows
become
that they're
positive.
not like this is what I'd say about what's becoming kind of clear. Like we're kind of seeing that Sam Altman is one of the better like early stage founders we've seen. Um, but like some of this stuff is like kind of like amateur hour, like Zuckerberg metaverse ish, like in like that video, like because it's just like, what was the monetization strategy for that, right? Like maybe it gets some people to upgrade to premium, but like it was pretty shitty technology. Like I used it once as like a gimmick on like a Christmas video. Um, but like it wasn't that like people like a product that people use as a gimmick is not really what you want. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like amateur hour. Some of the stuff with them, like they do kind of spend as if spending is not an issue. And it as you get more mature and as you raise more money, it absolutely becomes an issue. And some of it's just like the raw dollars, right? Like Altman could be thinking about it as like, oh, it's just X% of our burn or whatever. But like when X% of your burn becomes like $5 million a month, right? All of a sudden that is expensive objectively.
And you've talked at length about like the ROI problems AI companies were facing. Um, is there a chance like OpenAI and these LLM companies are like not going to be able to monetize the way they thought they were, and they're like never going to be profitable, or are we going to have ads crammed down our face if we're on ChatGPT soon? Like, is there major problems with the business of the costs of the technology versus you know the, the money it's generating for the companies?
Well, like there are vastly different scenarios here, right? Like, first of all, Anthropic is like a way leaner and more efficient company, right? So they're their own thing, and and they built a higher quality product, leaner. So the perception around that and the patience around monetization is going to be very different than what's starting to happen with OpenAI. And then if you kind of leap over to Gemini and Google, like Gemini is like much more part of like the core business that's so profitable. Like it's being embedded in all of this, all of this stuff where there's added value, right? Like the way it's like embedded in Google Sheets, for example, already, like part of their core like business offerings, right? It supplements that. So there's value outside of people just like paying for these licenses, like what you're trying to do. Like Google is like a corporate, like B2B giant. And that's what like ChatGPT is like trying to shift to a little bit. But at the end of the day, especially now that the quality's closer, like why would you go with like OpenAI over, Google, who's like, been in this B2B space, or, Amazon and Claude? Like it's just like, even the separation of the entities. And obviously that's true for Anthropic, but I think the quality of the product is so high. At this point, it's a little different. But that's the thing about Gemini, like fully integrated, one entity, lots of existing monetization streams. It's not the same thing. Like Gemini is a cog in the wheel of an extremely profitable entity in Google. Like, OpenAI doesn't have those other businesses. So there's going to be a much brighter light shine on its compute. And at the end of the day, like the compute to let people use Gemini for free is a small line item on Google's massive budget. Like that is basically the budget for OpenAI other than talent.
It's been interesting to see like the phases that Google went through with being hated for their AI products and now loved, and kind of the inverse for Microsoft, where they were being praised for their big commitments to OpenAI, linking with them early, but now it seems like it's having the opposite effect, dragging on the company. They are the worst performing Magnificent Seven stock year to date, and are actually now trading below their 200-week moving average for the first time in 13 years.
200
So,
week, you said?
yeah. So is
Wow.
this an overreaction for Microsoft? Is that a buy the dip setting up, or have they hitched their sails to the wrong ship in OpenAI?
No, and I mean, it's not just that, right? I think it's also what we're talking about, that like whatever the relationship with OpenAI or whatever, like AWS and GCP were like already kind of better, and Amazon, like, I mean, and Azure had to like, kind of depend on like deal making and things like that. But I think that's the big thing. We talk about the cloud providers, the cloud is the future. They might be in jeopardy of me saying buy the two cloud providers now, Amazon and Google, because like with this integration, I actually see some further separation. I think the way AI is being integrated into those clouds, I think creates further separation with AWS and Google from Azure. So I think OpenAI is part of that, because like they're just not the B2B business that Gemini, like Google, AWS is, especially with the separation. But yeah, I think that I think it's a lot that, and I think maybe some of it too is just like devaluing software, right? Like software is Microsoft's business, and I think the way people view software now is that it's becoming less valuable now. Like we talk about, like nothing's happening to Microsoft as long as people need to use computers, right? Which is like, I'm not calling the time of death on that anytime soon, but we are seeing businesses that depend on an app layer starting to get valued down. I think that's part of it too.
But so no immediate interest in Microsoft, just on like a value or rebound type play.
No, I mean, like Google's facing some problems with this lawsuit today.
Google and Meta, right?
Yeah, Google and Meta. So like, yeah, I think that Amazon looks like the pick of the litter right now.
Of the Magnificent Seven stocks, I have the performance year to date. Microsoft down 33, Meta down 25, Tesla down 22, Amazon down 18, Google down 16, Nvidia down 15, Apple down 12. The ugly duckling Apple leading the way.
Well, it's the most stable. Like that's like, what do we always say about Apple? That represents the point perfectly, right? Like we always say that. Like you're going to get slightly less downside in a downside scenario, but you're going to get like a lot more upside from the others in an upside scenario. So there it is. As usual.
Just one more topic before we welcome in Brent into the stream. I did a little dumpster diving, as we were talking about on Monday, since we've had some weakness in the markets. There's a lot of stocks trading at 52-week lows. So I have 5 for you. We'll see if you like any of them now that they've pulled back. We have Melly, Adobe, Chewy, Tractor Supply, and Wingstop, all hitting 52-week lows. I tried to get a little different sectors and different companies, so maybe we could find.
Wow, Melly is ugly. Melly does not look good. 22 net option sentiment, ugly. That's a big change. Wingstop's got some interesting things going on for it. 98 net social for whatever reason. 75 net option sentiment. Hey, I mean, it's not my thing, but you could make a case for it. Tractor. No Tractor Supply. Not for Prospero, not for me. What's the other one? 35. 35 net option sentiment, 37 upside. No good. Who would have thought Wingstop would be Adobe 81 net option sentiment? That's we see a nice break in Adobe. It's breaking up right now. That might be a good rebound play.
JC in the chat said, FYI, my Perplexity screener keeps calling out Wing as a short. They've been right over the past 52 weeks.
The chart on Adobe is ugly, but that could mean a sharp turn.
All right, so it sounds like Wingstop was the winner of the group, at least.
Yeah. Wingstop is the winner. All right, we're going to welcome Brent.
Yeah, let's bring Brent onto the Prospero.ai live streams. Let's go. Chat, welcome in Brent, the first appearance. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you.
This
What are we gonna do
is
today, Jordan,
exciting. A
bud?
growth of an expansion. One of the portfolio managers that's making my life a lot easier. And actually, you know what? Like the trading letter, I was always so rushed. You do a better job than me on that thing. I was always just like, let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah. I have a little more time. I try to make sure I get all the data in there for everybody that can be useful for the day. Because obviously these days, especially, there's so much happening. It's like, who knows? So yeah, I'll try to put everything in there for everyone. Hopefully.
So yeah, good. It's good to have her. We're going to go through like a live these days where, us, maybe if Dr. Matt is here, like watching, he might chime in too, but we kind of are now having these open debates about the portfolio. And I had, we're going to look at some index level stuff. I do keep telling Brent to do this, but I don't give him much guidance. So, I'm going to look
you
at.
did mention that yesterday. I was like, "What are you talking about with this?"
I'm going to look at XLK right now.
Okay.
XLK is looking pretty good. 17 at midday at 24 now. This looks like looking very bull alerty. XLI, checking it out. Ooh, nice. XLI is on a nice rebound. All right.
Yeah, I actually mentioned those in the letter today as well.
I've been looking at socks a little lately. Nothing. Oh, Steven, send Matt. Matt's gonna pop in, and we're gonna do we'll do a Brady Bunch thing here.
Yeah, there we go.
So that's one that I'm looking at a little bit. I mean, do we even look at SPY and QQQ? It's QQQ, SPY, that
0 and 5. So
5.
yeah, same as we've been having.
What was the other one? Like, I gotta look at my text with Dr. Matt. We got to make sure we give you enough time to send this alert too.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about some of the bulls that look good. We're leaning bull.
Yeah, I caught that a little bit earlier, which is good. So the number one, I try to, of course, narrow it down by highest gain, so we're not stuffing anything in there. HPE kept coming up, but it's high momentum score, but its upside score is low, so I kind of got rid of that based on there.
Yeah, we don't do 32 upside.
Yeah, the AIs both actually we had some agreement here. From what I found was Powell, POWL, was the favorite for today, followed by BWXT, which is actually one we have in the alert already and has been performing well. So,
what is Powell? Talk to me about Powell Industries. What are the AI saying about it? Oh, I mean, that's a beautiful net option sentiment. I think we're going to go with that. What they do?
Data center, electrical, and LNG. So it's kind of like you get the AI pick and shovel, which is something that we've been seeing a lot lately with the data center build out stuff, along with natural gas, which, of course, everything in the Middle East. So it's kind of got like a twofold in front of it. They also did a stock split, I guess. That's the only thing they do have that coming up April 6th. So that could be a catalyst for some run, but we want to keep an eye on that as far as maybe a sell-off after the fact. Hey,
got everybody here. I think you kind of missed the punchline.
What's up, man?
But yeah, so I think we could do. Let's move forward with POWL. We got a nice new pick, Matt.
We didn't even need you.
A pick and shovel play on the. But the natural gas part of it is interesting as well. This company POWL, Matt. Okay, so I think that's good. And now, like, the only thing we really need to talk about: how are the short picks looking in momentum score, Brent? You have the current.
Yeah, I do. I pulled them up from a little bit ago. So right now we have WBD and Pool are still the lowest at 22 and 24.
Oh no, not the alerts. The investing. We're moving on to the investing letter. Like, I think I'm comfortable with the alerts and where they're at.
Yeah, the investing.
I'll just scan quickly. I mean, the only thing we might want to think about is THO, but we'll hold it one more day.
Yeah, that was one that it's getting crushed with oil, but with the possibility of stuff. So I think if anything turns, that one's going to definitely go back in our favor. As far as the investing letter goes, yeah, SAP and Best Buy have been the two. They're the both winners, and they're currently still in the low 40s. But the other two, FPB and BRC, which is actually my initial, so I like that one. Those are actually both just and have been kind of throughout the day just over 50, so 54 right now, and hoping for FRC to see if it would, because it was close, to see if we
let's close them all. Let's keep FBP because like that could turn, but like let's close BRC, BBY, SAP. And let's get 2 new shorts. Let's definitely get a tech short because we're a little exposed with actually let's get 2 tech shorts. And add and add also POWL.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Just knew it all. Yeah, I do have the short list. I don't know. I don't think any of the top ones were tech. Let me just double check. We had Woof was the one that's come up after that's off the consumer, but neither of them liked Woof. That's for sure.
Yeah, we can do Woof, and let's just make sure we get one good. I mean, it's 3 tech. Let's do Woof, and then maybe still 2 more. We'll cover ourselves a little more, or maybe we'll look for a new long too. I don't know if we have time, but we'll do our best.
Let's see. Yeah. What else do we have? Warner Brothers, which we've had in there, it hasn't done a whole lot.
Something besides tech.
TransUnion, but that's not really.
We need a tech short. I'm gonna pull momentum score.
Ring came up on the list.
What?
Ring Central. I don't know if you consider that.
Not techy enough.
Yeah.
Let me just check some of our I always like to check
PAL out to everyone.
IonQ, RGTI, see if there's any no, we can't pick on them right now. Let's check AMD. Ooh.
Hey, you know what? Check MU real quick. Just humor me.
They had a nice run, but yeah, they're kind of probably due.
MU. See, my issue with MU, Matt, look at the daily chart. It looks the down move seems to be losing steam.
Yeah, that's why I didn't short it today, but the net options is gnarly, man.
Let's grab AMD as a short. 22 net options, up 7% today. That's a good reversal hedge against the other stuff we have.
Yeah, it had been so low. We did okay with it earlier as well. So I don't think anything's a ton of it's.
All right, so AMD, we're closing BRC, BBY, SAP. We're getting into AMD, Woof as shorts, and POWL as a long. I still kind of want one more tech short. Ring, maybe we'll take Ring. What is the models don't like Ring?
Yeah, one did not. They had, let me tell you what. Zero Moat Legacy UCAS provider getting crushed by Microsoft Teams bundling. Top line revenue growth is decelerating, carrying heavy convertible debt load that becomes hard to refinance in a restrictive macro environment. High stock-based compensation to mask their true unprofitability.
Yeah, that chart is looking like it might be bottoming out a little bit too.
Check out Microsoft, man. They just keep getting bad news. There's like a lawsuit they're dealing with, and the software sell-off. They're at 41 net options, and they just keep going down.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can do it on that 73 upside.
Yeah, Microsoft is tough. I've been keeping a close eye on that myself, just
Yeah,
personally.
Ring is like, when I look at the daily there, it kind of looks like it bottoms out at this price pretty often, is my one concern. But it is a good hedge if it turns the other way and we have our upside stocks. Let's be, and it did go down in an option sentiment today. Let me just look one more time. I wonder if we add one more long, we just really change the portfolio just to balance it. Yeah. Let's look for, do you have any like smaller cap longs in?
Let me see.
In tech, what are you looking at? In
What are
tech?
the other longs that the LLMs like?
Hub was one that came up on both.
No more tech.
Okay. It's a BWX2 where you had Merck or GLW. I heard you mention GLW earlier, I believe.
Maybe.
But yeah, Merck was one that came up on both as well.
Wait, what's the ticker? HUBS?
HUBB.
Oh. What's HUBB? What do they do? Hubble. That's too volatile in an option sentiment. You said GLW?
Yeah, GLW. Yeah, that was one that came up.
It's just too much. What? Anything like just anything outside of tech?
See here. Well, Merck, like I said, so anyone in healthcare.
Wait, did you send the alert?
I'm about to. Okay. I'm like, I got one more thing to write.
Merck. What's the ticker on Merck?
MRK.
I hate healthcare.
Hey, check out SLS.
Go. All right. Alert is published.
What's SLS, Matt?
It's Celis Life Sciences Group's got 100 upside with a 78 net option sentiment, 3 downside, dark pull 80.
Let's go on SLS. I'm in.
I
don't even know what it is, man. I've never even heard that in my life.
I just look. I like the chart. It looks like good behavior there. All right, so
I mean that's what we did with comp, and it worked out pretty well.
And that was a complete mistake because I gave y'all the wrong company.
All right, so we're in. I'm gonna do the ins. I'm coming out of retirement to do the ins.
Okay. I just got the alert.
You do the outs.
Hopefully everyone will have everyone on the stream got Powell before anyone else anyway.
Yeah, the ins are all right, our ins are RNG, AMD, SLS, and what was the alert? POWL?
Yeah.
Did we have any more short ins?
Woof.
Yeah. All right, and then you do the outs if you.
Okay, so I'll do the exit.
Coming out of retirement, everybody.
Uh-oh.
To make sure we get it. SLS, Wolf, AMD.
All right. So FPB. BRC.
All right.
And we're getting out of SAP as well, you said, right? Or was it Best Buy?
Yeah.
Just SAP.
3 ones that aren't FP. So we're out of everything but FPV, BRC, BBY, SAP.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Other way around.
Yeah, we're hoping that one swings.
Yes.
And yeah, I like to do that because at a certain point when you have profit and things are just getting into the 40s, right? You might as well switch it out for something like take those profits, switch it out for something in the low momentum score range.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good way to just like cycle profits. I hope this was helpful to everybody. I would love to stick around and answer questions about it, but I actually have another meeting to get to. If you guys want to stick around, I don't know what's going on with Dr. Matt, but if other people have questions,
I'm happy to answer any questions, but I need Brett because he's smart.
All right. I'm out of here.
Thanks, I can stick around for a few. I'm just getting this stuff out right now. I think we're all set.
Alrighty.
Bye, George.
And then there were 3.
Yeah. Well, George
So
is gone.
chat, if you have any questions for Brett or Matt.
But, you know.
So do people actually sit there and watch this process of us choosing picks?
I guess today.
Yeah.
Man, it's pretty interesting. I've learned a lot. So for anybody that's watching that has no clue what we're doing, we're going in and looking at Brett. Brett has access. We both do really to the internals of all the Prospero data. He's looking at a bunch of stuff. We're cross-referencing it with Brett. What was the number one thing you used? You use Claude or Gemini or both?
Yeah, we use a little bit of, we use all the AIs. I mean, we kind of have a bit of a process, within Prospero to gain the best, kind of from everything, because I don't know if anyone who's on X a lot probably has seen. There we go. Make sure I got that out. AIs, people trying to use AIs solely for trading now, and some do well, some don't, and you can't just rely on them, obviously. So I think that's where having the Prospero data is very helpful to at least get somewhere started. Because I've done it a couple times earlier on in the trading letter before we sort of got to here, where I just asked, like, hey, what's a good entry or whatever, and every time it ended up being a loser.
Yeah. So, man, as you're looking, just for the folks listening that are Prospero app users, like as you're looking at the data on the app or something that everybody has access to, is there any one thing that you've found, or maybe a combination of two things that you found to be pretty accurate as far as directional predictability?
For a while, obviously, the net options. I think what George, which is why the momentum score is nice. The only thing with that sometimes, which is what I like to do now, which is I think hopefully helpful for everyone, is sometimes it picks up on a stock that's up, 20% that day, and you probably don't want to chase. So it makes sense the momentum is high.
That's right.
But for example, like we talked about last night with ASTS, generally it's momentum score and it's net option score and upside score are relatively high. So for it to drop to 80 is kind of like, well, that's
right.
What's going on. So I think, utilizing the changes that we see from either throughout the day, in that case with, with ASTS yesterday, or day to day, those two, of course, for longs, are the most helpful in my opinion. But really all the data has some use. I've been trying to use social sentiment a little bit more in some of the things because the market is so momentum driven now,
That's right.
But again, you do have to be careful with that because, as someone who spends a decent amount of time on X, you'll see everybody seems to love SoFi, which I know George talked about, I think a week or two ago. He doesn't like it. I don't care for it either. If you saw just follow traders on X, it's like the best stock in the world, but it's down 35% this year or something. So,
I think ASTS is a cool story. We can, and Stephen, jump in if we got some questions. But last night, George and myself and Brett, we talked pretty much throughout the day. And Brett said, we were looking, I think we were looking for an alert or another long, I can't remember, but Brett suggested ASTS. It's something that I personally watch a lot. I guess you were seeing some stuff, and sure enough, what I looked at, because I immediately went to the app, I looked at ASTS, and sure enough, that ASTS's net option had jumped from the 80s into the 90s, which is a pretty significant jump.
Yeah.
And then their upside score had gone all the way up to 100 from it been in the mid 90s. And so I was like, yeah, man, let's go for it. And I think the momentum score looked good. And so we made the decision to send the alert. Sure enough, this morning, that dude was up like 14% at one point. So we did really well on that one.
Yeah, that was one for sure. The momentum score was actually a little bit lower. It was like around 60. So that was one I may have not normally thought of. But with what you had found about what Trump had put out with possibly some ceasefire negotiations, ASTS we know is a high beta stock, so it moves. And all we have recently, because everything that's been good is energy, especially. And we have a lot of energy names, and that's been great. But if there was like a true ceasefire and Strait of Hormuz reopens, we'd probably see a big drop. We already did see a drop today in oil as it was. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, so I didn't want to stick to an energy name, even though they've been the strongest. And so yeah, I thought, ASTS, if we have some good news, is probably gonna do what we hope it does, and it looks like today it did. But yeah, like so the momentum was a little bit low, but I think that's because it had dropped during the day. But once you saw that stuff pick up, we knew, we might be in good shape.
We do got a question for you guys from NW. He's asking, can you guys see the full historic signal data for the given signals? So like instead of the 2-week time series graph, like the whole thing?
No, I don't. I mean, it might be kept somewhere. I wouldn't use it anyway. To be honest, I think that's one thing that always drives me crazy. Also, I see with traders are like, oh, this is like the support level from 20 years ago. I don't think anyone's still holding that stock for 20 years based on that one support level. So
are you referring to like net option sentiment from a year ago?
I think that's what the question was, like, because you can only see the time graph for 2 weeks, and I think to me that kind of makes sense. I don't think you really need to realistically go a whole lot further than that, because I mean, obviously things change so quickly, and it's best to just know what's more recent. But yeah, the answer to the question is no. We can't see any.
So George, I think, has the ability to.
He probably does, yeah.
To do it, and I'll tell you where it's good. It's good in small caps. I think it could be helpful in, say, for instance, that a stock ran for 6 months. Matter of fact, that's where I made a ridiculous amount of money this year. I guess it was last year on ASTS, because its net option sentiment had been in the 70s, 60s, and 70s for a really, 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 really long time. And I had just been paying attention to it every day. And Brett, that's the only reason I knew the long-term data on it is not, because I had watched it every day. And all of a sudden, boom, that sucker went up to 90, and it was a small cap stock at the time. I'm like, okay, something's up. And, I sold my house and a couple of kidneys and piled in and did really well. But that would be, to answer the question, we can't see it on the app. I think Brett's right. I don't think it has a lot of value other than seeing an absolute trend change in a stock's net option sentiment. But if you pay attention to a certain stock, like if your best stock is Tesla or NVIDIA or ASTS or whatever, if you watch it every day, you'll get a sense of the trend.
Yeah. Kidneys, that's how you only need one realistically.
It's one of my wives, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's I think we use the data. I mean, I tried, like I mentioned in the Discord, I kind of started this just as a user, beta user with George, and asked to kind of get more involved. And at the time, kind of needed more help. So I think I basically use it like everyone else. Obviously, we have access to a little bit more information, a little bit easier now. But realistically, that's the beauty of it, is, especially, I think, it's the same as that. Like, if you just kind of find a few tickers that you like, keep an eye on their individual movement, you can definitely still get a good feel of what to expect with that.
Matter of fact, quick question for me, Brett. Did you, I haven't looked at all at Penn today. So, for example, yesterday Penn dropped to, what was it, 0 net ops, and we were kind of talking about it. We chose not to do it as a short because Claude was like, "No, man, it's awesome." So, what did it do today?
I think it was up. I did enter it into the trading letter though, because it's been at the bottom of a momentum score screener for at least a week. The AIs don't like it because it's a large healthcare company that they say is sort of safe based on what they do, that they don't, it's kind of a macro difference between what we see from our data to what they see, I guess, So, and if you kind of back test it, it doesn't move a whole lot. So I can kind of understand that. The only thing, I guess it could be is if they do have something on the market that gets pulled, of course, I guess that could be a huge downturn. But yeah, technically it's in there. It was up a little bit today, but I think it was a win still in the trading portfolio because it didn't go up very much compared to the market. So I think I'll keep an eye on it for now because it has been at the bottom of the list for so long, and that is kind of unusual.
What is it still at 0 for net ops? Stephen, do you remember in the last couple of years where we've seen a company just out of the blue go to 0? Does anything come to mind? I know there's been a couple of things like CoreWeave or something. We caught something or another where we caught a massive downswing in some company, ended up filing bankruptcy, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Bankruptcy, there was one. I'm forgetting which one was that. But besides that one, I feel like it's only been like the SPY or the QQQ that is like
Wolf.
really
That's right.
done 0. Yeah,
that was Wolf. I'm pretty sure Wolf was one that we had that ended up going to bankruptcy.
That's right.
And dropped a ton. It is still at 0.5 upside. So yeah, it's basically at 0 and its net ops isn't 0, it's like 10. So it's, I guess maybe it's just it's tapped out if nothing else.
Well, if anybody's listening, that would be a great thing to watch just as a test case.
Yeah.
Is, hey, its net options is low, its upside's really low. The institutions that are putting calls and puts on this thing, they're seeing something that they're betting against that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I added it. So hopefully we'll see if it stays in there so I can keep an eye on it, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it would be fantastic if something big negative happens.
Dropped $100 or something. Maybe George will give you a raise.
Yeah. Yeah. I should go.
NW's asking for a bull pick.
That would be my raise.
What's that?
One bull pick from each.
One bull pick. All right, I'm gonna go.
POWL.
Go ahead, Brent.
That's a good question. I do still like. I think for right now, energy. Something in energy is probably your best bull pick. The problem is a lot of them have moved a decent amount, as it is. But for me, I think one that I really liked was MPC. That had a pretty good move yesterday, I believe. Marathon. It's like a United States petroleum company, so they kind of benefit more as things happen in the Middle East. They kind of are insulated from that, but still benefit from the higher oil prices. So, until we see a change over there, which, every 2 hours, it seems like there's a change, whether it's positive or negative. I think that's still the safest place to be in this market. And even if it does oil does shoot down below 80, which is unlikely to happen, even if the war ended tomorrow, just by the time the shipping, everything is way behind. So we're going to have some lag. So I wouldn't expect those stocks to just immediately crash either. Even saw it this morning. I dropped 2 oil stocks from the letter last night when we saw the possible ceasefire, and they still did fine today, even with oil being down. So I think that is your best bet, because as we see, and they talked about earlier with like Mag 7, they're all still dropping. Those were the safe havens for a long time. And Microsoft especially, and now where Google just, I think you mentioned, also lost their 200, or they're down, or I saw they're down at 10%, so they're in full correction territory. With high rates and at least higher oil, that you got to kind of keep your portfolio in the energy pick and shovel.
So I don't know if the person's still there, but I'd be interested if they're looking for a short term, medium term, long term bull pick. I'd be curious if they could throw that in there.
Well, what would your?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Short term, I agree with you 100%. I mean, short term, everything he just said is right on. If you start talking about, man, like let's say the like post the war being over, let's say it ends at the end of March, jumping in. I am a big fan, right? I'm really excited to see what happens to crypto. I've been watching it really closely. You've got MSTR, which has a 95 or 96 net option sentiment, and it's kind of stayed there. Coin has jumped from the 30s into I believe it's in the low 90s or high 80s. And then Bitcoin throughout this entire correction has remained incredibly steady. And so I think that at some point in the next month or two, your coin, your MSTR, your what is it, what's it called?
BMNR.
Yeah, the Ethereum proxy. I think they're going to run. That's my opinion. I'm slowly beginning to add in some. Interestingly, on my watch list, one that looks really good in the signals is a company that's called UAMY, which is United States Antimony Corp. It's like a precious metals company. They have a 90 upside, an 84 growth, 81 net option sentiment. Rocket Lab looks good for me long term. And those are very common names that have been sort of pushed down, that once we get past the short-term chop and noise, I think ought to do really, really well on a medium or longer term basis.
Yeah, I have master MSTR in the trading letter portfolio. The AI has told me I should remove it, but I kept it for that exact reason. I think it is kind of a big mover, and crypto has seemed to sort of found bottom, in the midterm.
I hope so.
Yeah, obviously that can change. So if you want to avoid volatility, then you want to wait until we see something. I say until you're in the second inning,
Yep.
that we know for sure that's going, but it could turn quickly. Yeah.
I think I saw a Circle was like 100 net option sentiment for a little bit there, but they pulled back recently. There's that lingering stuff going on with the crypto space of like that bill getting passed, where their stable coins are going to be able to pay out after. Yeah. So maybe once that gets passed fully.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I think, in a way, it's actually way down on crypto, even though it's supposed to be bullish. I think that stablecoin payout issue, well, not just a payout issue, but just in general, has definitely had some weight on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was supposed to be the kind of the answer for that. But now with the stablecoin being pinned, I think that almost becomes the safer for a lot of people who are just, trying to be out of the dollar necessarily. But so I think that has had a part of the issue for Bitcoin, but I don't pay enough attention to crypto to say for sure.
JC mentioned we brought up UAMY on the streams a little while ago, so they've been popping, I think, in our signals a lot.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I was going to mention that a while back. It was a good one.
It's I think it ran up to maybe $15-16, a few months back, and has been beaten down in this correction. But man, it's maintained strong signals. I don't know a ton about the company, but for it to be showing that kind of growth, upside, and net options, once we get past the chop, I think it'll do well.
Yeah, that really took off when the gold and silver, was it January, I think, or maybe beginning of February, when they had that big kind of run up. Not only UMY was one that was a big winner there.
Wolf, WULF, looks good to me. I think they've got a compelling growth story. They're looking good in the signals. I think it's one of those medium-term ones, but not short-term to me, because we could drop like a rock tomorrow on bad news. And so I'm in a lot of cash right now, kind of sitting on the sidelines, waiting to see if we can get out of this trading channel in SPY.
Yeah, that's why I said for volatility-wise, short-term, you need to be long. Energy is where it's bad. I mean, if you go back now with the full year, energy is the big winner, like by far, because everything else has been so beaten down. Materials have been good, which lately they were beaten up because of the higher oil prices. So that's the one that you could still see more volatility in. But yeah, everything else, it's kind of, like I said, just sort of waiting until they find a bottom. Because even today, on a good day, like talk about Microsoft, which I can see why you could mention as a short, it was down. Same with Google. We had Google in the port, right? The investing port. and it was down again. I mean, I exited yesterday because it was not looking great, and it was down even more today on a green day. So those big tech stocks are definitely have, I think, some more room to drop before you want to get.
And I think you bring up a really interesting point. Like, one of the things I'm doing as a trader and investor right now, in specifically the Prospero app, is I make a watch list for myself. And some of the stocks that I put on my watch list, Brett, this is just for me trading, right? I've got the Mag 7 on there, and I watch those every single day, especially their net option sentiment. And so, for example, like Meta and Microsoft, their net option sentiment are historically low right now. I think Meta's, Steven, is in the 30s or something crazy like that. You remember it used to chill in the 90s.
Meta was 100. Like, it was just
Yeah.
100. It was on the top of the bull screener for a year.
It was the best stock for
so
2 straight years.
Yeah.
That's right. So, trading hack, y'all. Put Meta on your list. Put Microsoft on your list, and if both those suckers jump to the 90s in one day, what does that tell you? And so I think that's what I'm doing. And when I see a big jump in one of the two of those or both of them, I'll probably get a lot more bullish.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think we don't have any more questions in the chat. This was fun though today. We should do this more often.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it.
It was fun, man. Hey, good to see y'all.
I had George, hey, do all this in the next 5 minutes, but at least he jumped back in today because that's really interesting for me.
All right. See y'all later.
Yeah.
Right.
Have a great day, everybody. And everybody who's watching in the chat, we'll see you guys on Monday at the normal time. Bye, everybody.